Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for being here today. I am so super excited to be talking with some special people this afternoon. First off, we have Dr. Thompson, who is the principal of Forest Heights Elementary, one of our really great partners in Prince George's County Public Schools. We have Unique Robinson, who is a creative writing instructor with LTYC, but is also a professor at Micah, is also an artist in her own right, and it's just so amazing. We're so grateful to have her be a part of our team. And then finally, we have Leilani Littleford, who is a student at Forest Heights Elementary and happens to be a student of Miss Robinson's and participating in one of our programs. So welcome, everybody, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me, Dana. I really appreciate it. Very excited to be here.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Of course. Of course. So, LTYC, of course, is an arts education nonprofit organization. We serve in the state of Maryland. Our mission is connected to ensuring that all students have equitable access to the arts, that students have access to quality arts education programming. Myself, I was a product of being able to participate in after-school arts programming and going to a high school that featured the arts. And so just really feel like, firsthand, I know the impact and the value that participating in the arts can have on a young person. So my first question for all of you is just, why do you believe the arts are important? And I'm so excited to talk with each of you about this, because I think everybody, of course, will have, sort of their own unique perspective. So Dr. Thompson, do you mind starting us off and just telling us why you think arts education is important?
Sure. Well, we are an arts integration school here at Forest Heights Elementary School. And I believe arts are very important because it gives students an opportunity to have an option outside of what society has really put pressure on them to do, and mainly our young men, is to play some type of sports, whether it's football or basketball. And when you talk to young men and young ladies, mostly young men, you ask them what they want to do when they grow up, and 80% of them are going to say, I want to be a pro football player, pro basketball player. No one really talks about being in the arts. So I'm glad that we had an opportunity to integrate a creative writing class for our students, because it gives them an opportunity to express themselves and to learn how to write, and write creatively and expressively, because writing, again, has been kind of taken out of the curriculum. So it gives them an opportunity, again, to express themselves creatively and artistically through poetry, through creative writing, through essays, through a wonderful teacher like Ms. Robinson, who really pushes them to be creative. So I think that's why it's very necessary to have some type of artistic option for students in school. And it doesn't matter how young they are. Ms. Carr, you mentioned that you went to an arts high school or came up and had an arts education. My daughter started out dancing and went as far as her second year in high school dancing, and danced on the dance team at another high school after she left the performing arts high school. So, it's good to see students and kids getting into something other than athletics.
For sure, for sure. What about you, Ms. Robinson? What do you think, why is arts education so important for our young people?
Well, I think arts education is important for young people because I remember being a young person once, right? It wasn't too long ago that I was Leilani's age, discovering poetry myself. It was in 5th grade, like Leilani, right? It was a standardized test, believe it or not, called You're a Poet and You Don't Know It. And literally that set the journey of my life. I didn't know I was a poet. And then I never stopped writing after that prompt. You know what I mean? So even with that, after it was just, I need a journal now, and now I'm just going to pour whatever idea I have in my brain. As a young person, I wasn't really expressive with my voice, really. So I turned to the books to really get out a lot of those feelings. And then I started performing my poetry when I was 14. So in high school, I went to Baltimore City College High School. And, that just set off a launch. And then I started performing in the community and open mics and slams and you name it. And then college. And then I wanted to be a creative writer. So, it literally set the course of my life. So I am forever grateful to the arts, to writing. I also, I'm a musician, so I perform, I rap, I make music, I'm a visual artist. So all of the arts encompassing, I feel just taking that one seed of poetry just really sprouted so much and showed me that I'm like a true artist. Now, I spent a lot of my career being an artist, and then there was a moment when I became a teaching artist. And being a teaching artist is important because now you're giving back. Now you're in a role to serve young people. And I've seen firsthand the role that art has in changing young people's lives, in finding their voice, finding their way of expressing difficult emotions, you know what I mean? Finding their way of catharsis through difficult situations in their life. You know what I mean? I'm just like, write about it, write about it, write about it. I always told young people, just write about it, right? No matter what happens. And a lot of them have, So just going on for years, like I've seen young people over the years really benefit from the arts, and they get to take that energy that could be used for something destructive and turn it into something creative. So it literally saves lives. So that's why I believe it's inspiring and necessary.
That's great. And I'm so glad that you mentioned that. And it makes me want to ask Leilani a question. As you talk about, Ms. Robinson, just the arts, being such a powerful tool to overcome challenges, to think through ideas in difficult times even. And of course, this is, no surprise that the last year, Dr. Thompson and I were just saying, has been extremely challenging for everybody. And I just think of, myself as an adult and being able to process and, and just, being an adult in that space and still struggling with it. And then our young people who, have had their whole education sort of flipped in the way that they traditionally have been, schooled, has changed. So, Leilani, my question for you is just thinking about, being in this pandemic, having to now, experience school and classes virtually. Do you think that the arts and maybe even specifically writing has helped you over this last year? And if so, if you want to talk to us about how.
Well, I feel like it has helped, especially with communication. Recently, we've been having these classes, and I've seen new pages of people and some of my friends actually that I've been friends with for years, I've seen new pages of them and how they open up when they're in creative arts. I feel like creative arts is a way to help not only express yourself, but you can use creative arts to communicate, a way of secretly communicating how you feel, what you're thinking, and what's going on in your mind. So I feel that it's helping with communication and getting to know each other better, even if it's over screen.
Yes. Do you have a particular art form? I know Miss Robinson works on writing with you all and maybe even, performing techniques and things like that. Do you have a particular art form that you really just love above anything else?
I really love poetry and dancing. It helps me it helps me explain my feelings, my thoughts, my emotions, and it helps me reach out to other people. And that's what I'm in it for, to be able to reach out to other people.
Hi, I'm Leilani Littleford. I am in 5th grade and I attend Forest Heights Elementary School. Today I'll be reading for you 2 poems. The first one called Dear World. Dear world, I would like to see a change in the way this world behaves. I hope for people to not be judged for who they love, what they look like, and who they identify as. I want more recycling, less litter. Save the little critters. We can get better with peace and communication, no violence in the streets. This world needs peace. The second poem I'll be reading for you today is called Air. Like air I flow, my voice fills the room. I'm everywhere you roam. I'm chill, but don't back down. I blow you away by my work. Mind full of ideas, you know when I'm in your presence. I have a slight essence. I'm as chill as an iceberg, but don't underestimate me. I'm powerful, but you don't see what you do affects me. The negativity in this world makes me cry. Me and the other elements will thrive.
That's great. Super. So Miss Robinson is so great. I know hearing, especially young students, I know you have older students too, but just so moving, to hear our students talk about, just the things that they get from our classes and can appreciate, and all of the little nuggets and jewels that they get from class. What do you enjoy most about teaching the arts and just being able to connect through the arts with young people?
I think teaching through the arts is the fastest way, I feel, to build community with young people, to build relationships with young people. When you're doing, no shade to like everyday teachers, but when you're doing an academic lesson, there's a bit of a distance and a bit of a barrier with students, especially around development or learning or styles of learning and all of that. But with poetry, you're able to light up a classroom, to really have really frank conversations around issues that are going on. Maybe, I'll present a poem of my own, or I'll present a poem from another, some of my favorite poets. I've shared some of them with them. Lauryn Hill, to Elizabeth Acevedo, you know what I mean? Just many different people. Jose Badi, I've introduced them to a lot of different artists. And we get to talk about the issues in those poems and what that's about, and then how they can relate that to their own community. So we get to have really real conversations and get to feel out how young people are feeling about what's going on in the world, because oftentimes young people's opinions are the most overlooked, but they see exactly what's going on, right? It's just, I think it needs to be brought out and valued and discussed, you know what I mean? So that they can feel out why it is that they're having the emotions that they're having, or why they feel racism is happening, right? It's a system that none of us created, but we're all definitely feeling the effects from. So they get to talk about those conversations and really feel out the social, emotional aspects of a lot of these big issues that are going on in the world. And then they can write about how they feel about it. So we have a conversation and then they write it out, and then they do it in a creative and beautiful way. And it blows me away every single time, because I'm like, wow, you wrote that just now in 15 minutes? You know what I mean? And, every single time it happens, it's like the first time it happens, it's that creative spark. So getting to see that continuously happen and unfold for young people is one of the greatest gifts I could ask for. Seriously.
That's beautiful. It is. It's like you said, I love how you describe it, because no matter how many times it happens, it's exciting and beautiful and wonderful every time, and even to see those sort of light bulb moments, that our students, as they're processing and working through, whatever the particular art form is just, it's can't be described, and it never gets old. So Dr. Thompson, one of the things Ms. Robinson touched on, is this idea of the arts building community. So can you talk to us a little bit about in your, tenure as a school leader, how you've seen the arts really help to build and shape community in the schools and communities that you've led?
Well, again, it's given students, I've been mainly in elementary schools. So and there's, I'll go back to this athletics topic. There's no inter-school athletics at this level. So again, it provides students with an opportunity to do something that they can express themselves with, either through writing or through dance, through poetry, through drawing, through playing a musical instrument. We've also incorporated a cooking class for some of our students. We have 20 students that now are cooking on a weekly basis with a chef. So again, giving students the opportunity to look at other avenues of expression. You don't look at cooking as expressive, but you put together a meal that is expressing how you feel or what you feel like eating. You put together some musical tracks, it expressive how you feel. Poetry, definitely, creative writing. So again, it's a option for students. It's an opportunity for students, and I'm big on giving students opportunity to just get something they may not normally receive based on possible family income, based on their zip code, based on their situation. So it's wonderful that students can have this opportunity and be given this opportunity to express themselves. If I may, I just want to take a quick second to note that one of my students, one of Leilani's fifth grade peers, did a recent book report or a presentation on, who did Ariana do the presentation on, Leilani?
Ada B. Wells.
Ida B. Wells. How did I forget that? Well, my cousin is Paula Giddings, who is a poet and an author. And she wrote a book on Ida B. Wells. It's a 900-page book. So Ariana did the presentation, a slide presentation, and I went out and got her the book, the copy of the book. So she's going to be presented with a copy of a book that my cousin wrote. So you make those connections. You make those connections, and you don't know, again, given the opportunity, who you're going to run into doing what you do with the arts. Somebody's going to see you. Somebody's going to see a Leilani Littleford and say, let's go to get her out in front of some people.
Yeah.
And who knows where that may take her. So, that's an opportunity for her where she may not have had it, and other students where they may not have had it. So.
Yeah. Leilani, I'm curious to know from you right now as a fifth grader, what aspirations do you have, when you get older? What types of things do you want to do? Do you know, what you want your sort of career or job to be at this point?
At this point, I'm trying to find a job that doesn't only benefit me, or like a future that doesn't only benefit me, but can benefit the whole world and benefit the people that really need it. So I feel that most people are in jobs for money, but there are decent other people who do jobs for the world and to help the world be a better place. So I'm thinking of maybe a physical voice therapist, or just a poet, to help reach out to people and young people that I was once their age, to know that they're okay and that their voice deserves to be heard too.
I love everything that you're saying. And I know the 3 adults that are on this call who are all in education will tell you that we're all in education and working with young people like yourself because, like you said, we want to change the world. We want to be impactful. It is certainly not because of a paycheck or money. Like you said, you have to, if you're in education and even as an artist, you have to be passionate and want to say something with your work and what you're doing and let that be the driving force. And, sometimes money and riches and fame and accolades and all of that stuff will come. But I believe that, you have to be passionate about what you're doing and how you want to be impactful. So I think that you are so wise beyond your years, to be thinking about that and thinking like that at your age. So I whatever you do, whether it's a poet or, any of the other things you mentioned, I know you're gonna, you're gonna be amazing and definitely, like you said, make a impact on our world. So I'm excited to be able to, hear your name and hear about the things that you're doing 10, 15 years from now, because I know they're going to be great. So Miss Robinson, I think my last question for us, just to kind of leave us, is what thinking about, again, this next generation of young people, artists, doctors, lawyers, politicians, just so many opportunities like Dr. Thompson spoke about that young people have at their fingertips. What would be your advice for this next generation of artists and leaders?
My advice is to stay true to your gifts. You know what I mean? Believe in your gifts. Believe that they are real and believe that they will sustain you. We've heard a lot of negative commentary about the arts and, from a previous generation who thinks that, oh, it's not going to make you any money. So why are you doing that? That's just a hobby, right? But I feel like my generation, late 80s, 90s kids, we're the ones that kind of broke those barriers down and said, no, like we can make something out of this. We don't have to just work some desk job, and that be it for me. You know what I mean? I know plenty of people that have done that, but they're also not happy. So, I wanted to find, something that I could feel fulfilled, but also be useful in, you know what I mean? And so my advice really to the next generation is to believe in your gifts and don't let anyone tell you that you are not useful or valuable or worth it, because you can make something really big out of it. You just take one step and watch the next step light up, so it's think long term, you know what I mean? Not for just short term gratification. Let me get rich now, but understand that being an artist is for life, so you'll be inspired by many different things throughout your life and can inspire others that way as well. So that's it. Believe in your gifts.
Thank you so much. Wonderful advice. Again, I just want to thank everyone today for joining us, for being here with us. For anybody who's watching or listening, you can learn more about our organization, Leaders of Tomorrow Youth Center. We are on all of the different social media channels and avenues, and our website is www.LTYC.net. So Dr. Thompson, Ms. Robinson, and Leilani, thank you again so much for this conversation, for being, pioneers, advocates, lovers of the arts and arts education. And I'm excited about what this partnership can look like and what young people like Leilani that we are pouring into are going to do in the near future. So thank you all so much again.
Thank you so much for having me. This was an honor. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it.